Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and let's talk about the news from the world of Formula 1, which is that Nick de Vries is out at AlphaTauri, being replaced by Daniel Ricciardo. That's right, the number 3 will be back on the grid for the remainder of the season. And, well, I've got a lot of thoughts about it, so let's get straight into it and talk about, well, the race did a column where, they had all of their pundits do small columns for their kind of verdict, and I think the one that defines it comes from Ed Straw, which says, perhaps it encapsulates the odd way de Vries was recruited in the first place, filling a vacancy that wasn't expected to be there by an organisation that had no interest in him before his star cameo for Williams at Monza. His place in the team was built on sand, so it didn't take much for him to be washed away. And, to be honest, it sounds like that really rings true. Like, de Vries was this stopgap solution. They'd lost Pierre Gasly, and they weren't going to promote any of their juniors. So, de Vries was the apparent solution. And it's a shame for him, because this is a guy who is a talent. He's a world champion. He's won in other categories and other disciplines. So why did it not work in F1? I mean, there's a few reasons. AlphaTauri as a team has been struggling this season. It might be that he's also struggling to adapt to that car, and the Williams worked a lot better for him in terms of his driving ideology. I mean, we've seen that with the Red Bull 2 teams in the past. I mean, look at what happened to Pierre Gasly, look at what happened to Alex Albon. Arguably, look what's happening to Sergio Perez. Look what happened to Daniel Ricciardo. There are some drivers who can make it work. And, well, in terms of the Red Bull works team at the front, it seems like there's only really been 2 drivers in their history that have really made it work. Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. So, maybe it's the same kind of thing at AlphaTauri. Tsunoda hasn't really been doing brilliantly this season, so it might be the team struggling, but de Vries obviously was being outperformed by his teammate. And then Ricciardo comes in, and he's a good litmus test for Tsunoda, because he's a seasoned veteran. So if Tsunoda really is this up-and-coming talent that people are talking about, he's beaten a world champion, and, I mean, he wasn't beaten by Gasly last year, was he? But he's been improving. It could be similar to how we've seen Stroll slowly improving. And over the course of his career, he's in, his 7th season now in F1, and he can beat Fernando Alonso on a good day. I think that we could be about to see that for Tsunoda. But I think there's a bigger issue that stands out, which is the problem that the Red Bull teams have in terms of how they bring in new people and how everything else works their junior ladder, because they haven't brought in Liam Lawson, who might be quite happy, because if the AlphaTauri is struggling for the rest of the season, he could eye up a spot on the grid next season. Daniel Ricciardo is seeing this opportunity to, if he absolutely beasts Tsunoda and Checo continues to struggle, get himself back into the Red Bull seat that he left, back in 2018. But, to be honest, I'm not so sure about it all. I think that Red Bull is really struggling to find that next Verstappen. They are hunting for that next Verstappen, aren't they? They're hunting for that next big thing. And whilst they've got some good talents, they're not willing to take a punt on any of them. I mean, look at the end of 2020. They brought in somebody from outside the scheme into the main team in Sergio Perez. Granted, Perez brings in sponsorship money, which Red Bull doesn't necessarily need, but it's always a good thing, and experience, and he was basically a free agent. It's a bit like why, well, it's part of why Ricciardo's back at AlphaTauri, right? Because McLaren's paying his wages. It's why there were rumours about him ending up at Williams. And it's the same kind of thing for, because I'm pretty sure that Checo got a payout, didn't he, from Aston Martin, which meant that he could have a lower pay offer at Red Bull. But I don't know. I have a feeling this is a stopgap solution whilst Red Bull figure out what to do with their team. There's been rumours for ages they're trying to get around AlphaTauri, so this might be when they make that jump. But, to be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't know where this is going to go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.